I mention Chiron in the fourth house because all of us did not come here for the same things. Some of us came here for specific issues around that dynamic, that mother and child dynamic. And I'm telling you, if you have Chiron in the fourth house, then you came here for that. Exactly what the lessons are going to be different depending on what the rest of your chart is. So that's why they don't want you looking at your chart. But it's up to you to understand what's really going on so that we can get rid of the villains and the victims and understand that it's all purposeful. I ain't telling you that you need to forget about nothing you've gone through, because there are levels of accountability through personal development that people need to own. And if they're not willing to own it, part of your job is to love you more than they demonstrated their dislike for you. Now let me get realer. It was one of the last things I said to my mother. And this was after I was over 5 decades. So listen to me. This is why I'm never talking to children. I am talking to full-on adults who are having difficult relationships with their mother. Because you have to allow enough time to go through a thing to truly understand that thing and to see how that thing is a pattern, how the grooves are operating, and looking at your own growth. Then how have you done whatever you could do to make that thing better? Yeah, everybody likes to say, but everybody's got their own stories. You don't know what your mother's situations were, or you need to go and talk to her so you can understand what the story was and why she is what she is. Here's what I'm telling you. When there are parents who are willing to have those conversations, can it make a difference in the relationship? Yes. Ultimately, is it the child's responsibility to go back and do all of that? No. Did they? Well, they didn't have therapy back then. No, they had other levels of accountability that are far better than the therapy that they have pushed on you. And for those of you who have been around me, you know how I feel about social constructs and the pillars in the society that have pushed different indoctrinations, forms of indoctrination. There are many people who are accepting labels in psychology. I'm not getting into that. I've done a whole lot of videos on that. I will continue to talk about it in the ways that I have. So I'm not letting up on that. I'm just not going into detail on it right now. The bottom line is everybody has their own levels of accountability that they need to face. Being responsible to say, okay, I did it, now let it go. No. That's some sweeping some shit on the rug and asking somebody else to continue to take your bullshit. And the buzzwords now are immature parents. Is that true? Yes. Is it not taking accountability? Yes. Can we just simply say they don't have the tools? Yes. Does any of that stop the pain that the child has gone through? No. This is why the child has to zoom out, become the observer, and get some different tools than the ones that they've been working with. Listen, I can say this as a sidebar. I have been teaching, training, and been a serious student of personal development for most of my adult life. I'm also an author 3 times of personal development products. So when I say I have tried everything with the person whose spout I came out of, and I still love her dearly today, even though I don't talk to her. I have no qualms about that, no apologies about it. I am not, listen, for the past several years, have had to go deeper on this thing to understand what's really going on in order to alleviate the pain of a lifelong thread that was just asking me to go deeper on it so that I could really unravel what felt to me like barbed wire. I felt like I'd been fenced in by barbed wire my entire life, where my mother at the head was concerned and the rest of my family, excluding my father. The only time I felt like my father was a part of that was when he would tell me things like that everybody else says. That's still your mama, baby. I don't know why she like that, but that's still your mama, baby. But baby, you still got to come home because that's your mama. Now, let me wrap this rant up with, I did what most of you are still instructed to do by the people who don't have this particular placement that I'm talking about. Chiron in the fourth house. I'm going to put this up here so you can see what that looks like. I'm not showing you my whole chart. I'll let you see that I have Saturn in there as well. All right? Baby, you got Chiron and Saturn. That's that mother energy and difficulty, difficult lessons. Baby, it's time for you to dig deeper. It's time for you to tap into the understandings that were far before the social constructs that they have us living according to. Most of the shit we learned about family came from social constructs, what they needed from the people in families, while they're further and further secluding people and families in the suburbs and all that shit. And it's time to dig deeper. It's what I had to do to understand that my life's purpose was partly to have this difficult relationship so that I could come to the point of unraveling that thing and peeling back every piece of that fucking barbed wire that had been poking at me for over 5 decades. And now I'm free. I am completely free. I'm not returning to that. For me, it would be like a dog returning to its vomit to go back into that. So I will not. I harbor nothing against any of them. But I understand that part of my lesson was to do exactly what I did. All right? Now, it took me over 5 decades to get to a point of estrangement. I did what a whole lot of you have also done. And that is, at 12, I looked around at my family and went, these people don't make no sense to me. Now, you take that and do whatever you're going to do with it. It doesn't mean that anything was wrong with who they were and how they were operating. It just didn't make any sense to my brain. I looked at that and thought, I'm going to do this thing differently. So I always knew I'd live away. So people can continuously say, you don't get rid of your family, but if you need to put distance, then put distance. I did that. Right after graduating college, I left my family household. I left the city I grew up in. I've lived all over the U.S. I've done a whole lot of different things. And after 50, I've lived in several different countries. I live outside of the U.S. right now. So I agree. Do whatever you can to keep a connection if there's any levels of healthiness to it. Did the distance help me? To be completely honest, I think it just prolonged the inevitable. I think it just gave me enough opportunity to see that all the shit I'd been programmed with, or to see the depths of the shit I'd been programmed with. And what I'm saying is these younger people are not being programmed with that same shit. And because they're not being programmed with that same shit, then it's not taking them nearly as long. They're seeing that shit right away and getting up out of it. So many of the people I'm helping get through it right now are in that 40, 50, 60 age group. But I'm also thrilled to be working with those in that 30-something who recognize that their parents and their grandparents were indeed doing the best they could. But their best is still not quite cutting it. Depending on what their charts say, though, some of them are just like, nope, cut, done, and going on with purpose. There are others who are so balanced that they're able to say, hey, listen, I hear you, Ma. I hear you, Grandma. I hear all of that. I'm still going over here to do this. And for some of them, their parents are like, while they don't really agree with it, they know that they will cut them out and go on with life. So they are modifying what they need to modify in order to keep the relationship. But please understand, that just because you try to put distance between does not mean that there's going to be a what many people call reconciliation or happy ending at the end. And just because you're not together does not mean it's not a happy ending. Because let me tell you something. What I've come to understand about my mother is that it don't matter who leave her life, baby, or who dies. In fact, she said this, I ain't getting in the casket with him. Or after somebody's died, ooh, child, I'm finally free. That woman made us something different. I'm telling you, I've come to just expect, respect, and allow whatever that is. So, everything about my relationship with my mom has not been horrible. It's just been consistent enough that the painful stuff has hurt repeatedly enough that I just choose not to put myself in that position again. And I know that in order for her not to do that, then she'd have to go through such transformation that she's proven she's unwilling to do that, as well as the rest of the family. So from where I sit, it was a loving act for me to just remove myself and go on and live my life. And maybe that's where you sit, that you know that it will be the most loving thing you can do is to release them. But listen, when you go deeper and understand that life has purpose on it, and you start to use these different tools like astrology and human design and many others, as well as the personal development stuff, because it's not to throw it out, because as long as we are still interacting in the human capacity, then we need that. And I'm saying that you've got to get both, and you've got to come to a space of understanding what you need to know in the human development to be able to get along with people, but also to rise in your own divinity so you're not limited by the human consciousness. Oh, if you got that. Oh, if you got that, you my people. Well, I'm going to put a pin in it there. That's all I have for you today. Look below in the description box for more videos to expound on many of the topics I've already covered today. And let's continue the conversation in the comment section. I am back on this mother and adult child stuff because it's not going away, okay? As I said in the beginning of this, it is not a trend, it is not a fad, it is not a phase. It is a revolution. Baby, say yes to you. Because in the overarching picture of things, then that is where you're going to find your satisfaction. If you have found that part of your purpose is to overcome that pain, to transmute it, because I promise you that's where you'll find peace. All right. It's your life. Choose it just as it is. Own it, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Change it as long as you can breathe and learn. Oh, it can get better. From somewhere out here in South America, ciao for now.